150-meter longline vessel leaves port, chasing rumors of monster Mahi-Mahi that dwarf ordinary catches. The coastline fades into haze as the ship commits fully to blue water, far beyond weekend fishing grounds.
Hours offshore, satellite charts and temperature fronts guide the hunt toward drifting weed lines that Mahi-Mahi treat like floating cities. In the briefing room, the crew studies photos of bull mahi, learning how color, size, and behavior change at extreme scales.
Rarely, individuals may reach unreal weights, over 105 kilograms, turning a fast game fish into industrial-grade cargo.
On deck, heavy longline drums and industrial circle hooks replace casual rod-and-reel tactics favored by charter boats. Frozen baits, flying fish, mackerel, squid begin to thaw, each one destined for a hook and a shot at something enormous.
Buoys, weights, and branch lines are staged meticulously, forming a suspended gauntlet aimed at pelagic hunters beneath floating debris.
As the sun drops, the captain orders the first section overboard, committing steel and bait to the darkening sea.
Section after section follows, until kilometers of hooks hang unseen below a sparse chain of glowing night buoys.
Beneath the surface, the first hooks sink slowly, drifting down through layers of plankton and stray weed fragments.
Soon, a suspended highway of bait stretches along the weed line's shadow, invisible to the crew, but not to predators.
Small baitfish and triggerfish nip at loose scales, turning each hook into a flashing signal within the blue gloom.
Above, only a few working lights and the low hum of engines reveal the ship tracking its submerged hardware.
Depth, a faint green-gold shape appears briefly, then vanishes, as if curiosity tested but not yet committed.
The visitor makes a slow pass, keeping just outside the hook curtain while smaller fish rush recklessly to feed.
On deck, the crew rotates night watch, unaware a single fish below already outweighs an entire charter's daily haul.
More shadows gather near the weed line, the early stirrings of a predator pack drawn to drifting shelter and easy meals. A colossal bull mahi steps forward, its towering head and neon flank patterns dwarfing everything else in frame.
It circles once, twice, mapping the hooks, baits, and currents with the cold efficiency of a top predator.
Lesser fish dart in and out, stealing scraps, while the giant waits, conserving energy for one decisive strike. The crew scans buoys that still drift lazily, blind to the slow, tightening coil of intention beneath them.
Near the surface, a tall dorsal fin and neon flank flash under weed, hinting at outrageous size right below the chop.
The weed line itself becomes a corridor, funneling baits and predators together along a razor-thin boundary in open water. The giant returns, now closer, flanks flickering from electric green to deep blue as it tests angles on a single bait. Above, nothing betrays the tension. Buoys rock gently while the long line hangs like a loaded spring below.
One bait hangs at perfect eye level, silver sides pulsing in the faint current, framed by drifting weed strands.
Slowly, the bull closes in, head filling the frame, eye fixed on a meal far too easy for such a giant. It veers away at the last second, then whips back, confidence suddenly replacing caution in a single body turn. A buoy gives the slightest unnatural twitch, a tiny signal that something below is no longer just looking.
Below, the circle hook rotates and sets perfectly into the hard corner of the mahi's jaw, steel meeting bone. Instantly, the fish detonates, colors flaring as it blasts forward, dragging slackline into blinding tension.
On the surface, buoys jerk sideways and dip, the first visible evidence that something monstrous is now attached.
Tension gauges spike from near zero to critical levels, jolting the crew from routine fatigue into full combat mode.
The call echoes across steel. Gear up, lock in. This is no ordinary mahi. This one might rewrite their record books.
Deep below, the hook giant tears sideways, trying to turn speed and angle into freedom before the line lifts.
Water shears off its flanks in sheets as it sprints, neon colors strobing with every violent change of direction.
At the surface, one buoy disappears completely, swallowed by force no wave could generate on its own.
A hauler clamps onto the main line, turning the entire hull into a winch anchored against a single animal.
Below, the fish tries to dive, but the rising angle of the line forces its head toward the surface.
On deck, every step matters. One slip on wet steel could turn a hard-won catch into a medevac call.
At the surface, a patch of ocean boils and flashes turquoise, signaling the fish is now fighting close to the top. The captain trims speed and heading, feeling for that narrow zone between exhausting the fish and overloading the gear.
Beneath, the Mahi spirals upward, forced into tight circles as the long line shortens and light intensifies.
The call goes out, fish coming up, triggering a practiced choreography of positions polished by years of near misses.
Line angle flattens further, turning raw horizontal speed into vertical lift that steadily robs the fish of options.
From outside, the hull rides up and down, every swell amplifying the tug-of-war between buoyancy, gravity, and muscle.
Then the surface detonates as the hooked giant Mahi erupts completely airborne behind the stern in a streak of neon color.
For a heartbeat, time slows. Then it crashes back down, hammering wake and line alike with its full weight.
Now the fish thrashes at the surface, tail scything arcs of foam as it feels the industrial gear refusing to let go. The hauler slows, allowing the fish to burn bursts of energy instead of risking catastrophic failure from constant force.
Again it launches, this time beside the hull, a green-gold missile, detonating so close the crew can see every scale.
Adrenaline spikes, but discipline holds. They reset grips and posture, turning shock back into measured control.
The giant now tows the bow sideways, proving that even a ship this size can be bullied by a single fish.
Below, the Mahi tries another desperate dive, but fatigue and angle conspire to turn depth into a shrinking option.
It erupts vertically this time, half its body clearing the chop as if trying to shake the hook with sheer violence.
Harnesses are cinched tighter, and every loose object disappears, and the next phase brings the fish dangerously close to steel.
Foam tracks trace tightening circles astern as exhaustion slowly turns wide runs into smaller, more predictable loops.
Inch by inch, the hauler wins line back, trading bursts of chaos for steady mechanical advantage. One more explosion sends the giant Mahi completely airborne beside the stern, a final wild arc of muscle and color. When it splashes down this time, the movement's slow. Power remains, but wildness gives way to heavy, tired rolling.
On deck, heavy straps and taglines are laid out, turning a chaotic fight into an engineering problem. The captain noses the hull alongside, matching drift and swell so the fish can be worked safely down the starboard side. In a last burst, the Mahi skims out along a wave face, shoulders clear of water before crashing back beside the hull. That effort costs dearly. When it surfaces again, gill beats are slower, tail strokes shorter, almost mechanical. A lead deckhand clips his harness, leaning out just far enough to judge distance, timing, and swell shape. On a shouted count, the first strap drops, sinking under the official's massive head as a wave lifts its bulk into position.
A second strap follows around the midsection, ensuring the weight will ride on fabric rather than fragile jaw and spine.
With both straps set, the crane and hauler take over, replacing wild force with controlled vertical lift.
As tension comes on, the Mahi kicks one final time, half launching from the surface before gravity and webbing win.
Now it hangs just below the surface, rolling helplessly in the straps as the crew positions it for the climb aboard.
On deck, all eyes track the load. Too fast, something breaks. Too slow, waves reclaim the prize. Steel shudders as hundreds of kilograms leave the sea, transferring fully onto reinforced lifting points and crane boom. Bit by bit, the fish clears the rail, its size shocking even veterans used to calling Mahi a lightweight game fish. When the tail finally swings inside, the battle ends, replaced by the heavy logistics of handling a living fortune.
The fish touches steel for the first time, sliding onto a deck already flushed with seawater for easier movement.
Even half spent, one smack of the tail could break bones, so the crew controls it from distance with long taglines.
From above, the full scale is undeniable, a single fish occupying nearly the entire working width of the stern deck.
Measurements begin immediately. Length and girth will help estimate a weight that few believed Mahi could ever reach.
The estimate comes back staggering, well over 150 kilograms, rewriting their own expectations for the species.
A wide shot captures the moment. Towering superstructure above, one improbable fish sprawled across the steel stage below.
First cuts separate head and tail, turning one massive form into sections that will fit both tables and markets. As the skin peels back, firm, pale pink flesh appears, the characteristic texture of mahi destined for grills and ceviche.
From a low angle, the carved torso and thick loins tower over kneeling crewmen, working methodically along the backbone.
Each loin is lifted with slings, fully supported so no tear or bruise undermines the value they fought so hard to secure.
On stainless tables, trimmers remove dark bloodline and membrane, revealing clean, export-grade blocks of mahi meat. From above, rows of neatly arranged loins form a pattern, geometry drawn in flesh, ice, and labor. The remaining skeleton, head, and trimmings are sorted for secondary products. Almost nothing is allowed to go to waste.
Ice pours into insulated totes, burying wrapped portions under a protective layer that must hold all the way to shore.
A hero shot of totes lined up on deck shows the transformation from wild animal to organized, shippable inventory.
Labels record weight, time, and location, data linking every box to a specific moment on this distant patch of sea.
High-pressure hoses strip the last scales from the steel, washing away the visible evidence of the fight.
One final deck-wide shot captures closed totes in formation, silent containers holding the story as edible core.
Below deck, cold room doors swing open, revealing the chilled vault where this value will ride home. Pallets are stacked with care, leaving airflow gaps that keep temperature even around every premium portion.
Back on deck, the empty, rinsed steel and secured gear tell their own story. The fight is over, but the work continues. In the logbook, the catch is recorded with coordinates, weather, and gear settings for regulators and future campaigns.
Engine settings change as the captain turns the bow toward land, trading pursuit for safe delivery.
Outside, swells ease under a clearing sky, as if the ocean itself relaxes after surrendering such an unlikely prize.
In the hold, sensors confirm stable temperatures, proof that quality survives the long miles back to shore. Processing tools and tables are washed and sterilized, resetting the workspace for whatever the next set might deliver.
With gear stowed and hatches sealed, the vessel becomes less a battlefield and more a moving, refrigerated warehouse. Night finds the bow cutting toward harbor lights, carrying stories and protein gathered far beyond the horizon line. At Daeun, the vessel enters port approaches, escorted by channel markers and the routines of a working waterfront.
Massive dockside cranes roll into position, ready to shift chilled value from ship's hold to shore-based logistics.
Cold room doors open again, this time to the outside world, as pallets of totes begin their journey down the gangway.
Each pallet is checked against digital manifests, confirming every box that left the sea also lands on the ledger.
Refrigerated trucks ease into the bay, their insulated doors yawning open like gateways into another controlled environment.
Inside, cold air spills out as pallets slide into place, extending the unbroken chill chain toward inland markets.
The convoy departs the docks, trading seagulls and salt air for highways, warehouses, and distant restaurant districts.
At a specialized seafood facility, the shipments arrive under strict time and temperature controls. Here, graders open sample boxes, evaluating flesh color and texture before assigning quality ranks and final destinations. Top-grade portions are vacuum-packed and labeled for export, marked with codes that trace them back to this exact voyage.
In aircraft cargo holds, insulated containers of mahi ride alongside other freight, chasing sunrise toward distant cities. In an upscale restaurant kitchen, a chef receives a pristine loin, its paperwork tracing back to that single giant fish.
With practiced precision, he trims the loin, revealing clean, firm meat ideal for both grilling and raw preparations.
Slices fall in a steady rhythm, each piece destined to become a bite-sized echo of the ocean battle offshore.
In the dining room, plates arrive like small stages, grilled mahi framed by sauces, greens, and careful lighting. Diners taste the result, rich yet clean, rarely imagining the size, risk, and distance behind each perfect bite. Outside, city lights shimmer while far offshore another Longline crew readies hooks, chasing the next giant beneath drifting weed lines.